under fading skies. Tattered flags waving dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
Hey guys, good evening and welcome to Stateside Footy. And of course, it is Tuesday night. I know the show usually goes on Monday, but sometimes life gets in the way and there's scheduling conflicts and all that good shit. And so here we are on Tuesday night to recap the weekend that was. And before I get going, first and foremost, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe buttons and also hit the notification bell, because this upcoming week I'm doing something absolutely special. I'm going to do a retro U.S. men's national team live stream, and I'm thinking about doing a match versus Mexico from World Cup qualifying 2001. And me personally, I think that's awesome. And we're going to be doing some of these retro live streams as we get closer to the World Cup. Because obviously we have a nice long break between now and the next time we see the U.S. men's national team. And of course, I'm going to have a little off-season, how do you do when it comes to Major League Soccer, going over a few teams about what they lost, what they need. And so that is going to happen this week. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, but also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on all that good stuff. All right, so we had ourselves quite a decent weekend when it comes to U.S. men's national team pool players abroad, across the pond, whichever way you want to describe it. And of course, we start with strikers because, why wouldn't we not start with strikers? And we begin, of course, with the U.S. number one, Flo Balogun. Had a few matches this last week, and it started off in the Champions League with a 1-0 win over Galatasaray. And of course, it always says when you travel to Gala, you're entering hell. But that being said, he played 86 minutes and scored a goal on 5 shots, 24 touches, 7 in the opposition box, 8 of 12 of accurate passes. And quite honestly, he just, this dude has actually started to develop into like a sniper. It just seems that his positioning is so good now, and he's gotten so comfortable with Monaco that it doesn't necessarily matter the opposition. He always finds a way to score. And that is a true testament, not only to his talent, but also the evolution of his game, to the point where I feel like I'm at that point where now he needs a step up out of Ligue 1 into a bigger league, into a better side, into a better league, maybe a league with a little bit more pressure, just to really find out exactly what Flo Balogun is made of. But that being said, the ability just to go to a place like Galatasaray and get a goal is absolutely phenomenal, especially in that type of environment. And then, of course, over the weekend, Monaco did drop a 1-0 heartbreaker to Marseille, where he played a full 90. He managed 3 shots on goal, 32 touches, 10 of the opposition box, 15 of 18 of accurate passing. And it looks like it was 7 of 8 of ground duels. And altogether, I rated his performance right around a 7.5. outside of that match against Galatasaray, he seemed to do a little bit more on both ends against Marseille. But that being said, both of them were equal performances. And if you feel like Ballo deserved an 8, then give him an 8. But that being said, I thought both performances were absolutely brilliant. And again, that Galatasaray performance was just, I don't know, man. That was kind of the better of the two. Just saying. Let's turn to Ricardo Pepi, because Ricardo Pepi has been fucking on fire. And I apologize for the curse words right there, but there's no other way to describe it except for this dude's on fire. And it started on December 9th in a 3-2 loss to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, where he only managed 17 minutes off the bench, but he scored a goal on 2 shots, 7 touches, 4 of the opposition box, and 2 or 3 of accurate passing. Okay, cool. There's not really much you can do in 17 minutes, but he still managed to fulfill the opportunity by scoring a pretty decent goal. Then in the league, they beat Heracles Almo 4-3. This time he plays the full 90, gets a goal on 5 shots, 26 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 13 of 15 of accurate passing. And at that stage, he had scored in 4 straight matches. A goal in 4 straight, and he was on a nice little bit of a purple patch. And then we come to this weekend where PSV won 3-0 versus GVVV, where he played a full 90, managed 3 shots on net, 24 touches, 5 in the opposition box, 12 of 14 of accurate passing. And unfortunately, that broke the string of 4 straight, although a couple of those shots were actually ended up being saved in good. Actually, those were actually really good saves, to be honest with you. He easily could have scored had something break right. But that being said, that snapped the 4-match goal streak right there. And all 3, I actually have him at a 7.5. And the only reason why I didn't give him an 8 is because of that match against GVVV. But that being said, altogether, it's, when you actually have these type of players that are in form and they're essentially just scoring at will, it's exactly what you want from your strikers. And now we're at that point where we kind of have to have that conversation about, who is going to provide what for the U.S. men's national team. Is it Ballo? Is it Pepi? At what point does one kind of leapfrog the other? And as of right now, I still have Ballo number 1. But that being said, it's like, I think it's more like 1A, 1B at that stage. But that being said, another great performance over the last week when it comes to Ricardo Pepi and Flo Balogun. And last but not least, when it comes to the strikers, we got to talk about Patrick Agyemang. Because Aj was awesome in a 3-0 win over a 3-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday. And of course, I understand Sheffield Wednesday, arguably the worst team in the championship. They sit at the bottom of the table. They are going to be relegated. And all the mess that Sheffield Wednesday has been going through with the administration, obviously, this is not exactly one of the toughest teams to beat, just considering their roster restrictions. But that being said, Agyemang played 88 minutes and scored a brace in this one. 2 goals on 4 shots, 39 touches, 9 in the opposition box, 15 of 19 of accurate passes. 4 of those go into the final third. And by the way, he was the man of the match in this one. And this is his first multiple goal game in the championship. I gave him a 9 rating because it was well deserved. And the thing about this performance with Patrick Agyemang, out on top of the fact that he was absolutely lethal, is the fact that his work rate is absolutely phenomenal. And it doesn't necessarily matter the opponent. It just seems to be a part of his game that never really gets talked a lot. This dude likes to run, and this dude actually hustles from whistle to whistle. And it's one of the things that I actually appreciate about his game. Now, again, it's still too early as far as I'm concerned with Agyemang in the championship. It almost feels like I need the entire season to accurately judge this thing because, again, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be spells where he doesn't necessarily have the form. But that being said, man, Agyemang was absolutely fantastic. Not listed here as Josh Sargent, didn't necessarily have a great game over the weekend. And of course, Damian Downs is also not on this list this week because Damian is lost in the abyss. He has pulled an Ali Sheedy and disappeared off the face of the earth there at Southampton. So, and it sucks too, because I usually like to list Josh every single week, but unfortunately the performance was not good this weekend. Coming off a match where he actually scored his first goal essentially since August 25th and you were kind of wondering whether or not this was actually going to turn for Josh. It did not, and it sucks, man. I hate to say it, but I would probably assume for Josh Sargent's sake, he will get a January move out of Norwich because he's going to have to. There's no way that he's going to stay with Norwich, understanding that they are on the brink of being relegated. And I would probably assume there's still going to be demand, whether that's in the championship or maybe he moves. Maybe he moves to. Maybe he moves up. I have no idea. But that being said, it's like something's going to have to give with Josh Sargent in Norwich City. All right, let's turn to the forwards. And let's start with Christian Pulisic. And Christian probably had one of his worst performances of the season in a 2-2 draw versus Sassuolo. Christian played 73 minutes, only managed one shot, had only one chance creation, 37 touches, 2 in the opposition box, 23 of 26 of accurate passes, 3 goes into the final third. I only rated him at a 6.5. And again, like for as hot as Christian has been, there are going to be moments where he just doesn't have, for whatever reason. It is what it is. It's like he's not like he's only human, and he's going to have these type of matches where just nothing goes his way. And unfortunately, in this one, that was one of those matches. And of course, when you look, me personally, I love the way that AC Milan sets up and uses him as a secondary striker up top. It actually kind of suits his game. But that being said, I had him at a 6.5 rating, unfortunately. And it is what it is. I would probably assume when you actually look at Christian's last 5 appearances, even when he came off as a substitution the weekend prior, where literally he came on and 3 seconds later the ball was in the back of the net. Like he is going to have those type of games where everything just seems to go right. And unfortunately, this one against Sassuolo did not. Malik Tillman had a couple games this week. And we start off with a 2-2 draw against Newcastle United in the Champions League. He played 85 minutes, had 2 chances created, 32 touches, 18 to 21 accurate passes, and that was pretty much it for Malik Tillman in that match. But then over the weekend, he has Bayer Leverkusen has a 2-0 win over SC Cologne, where he played 86 minutes, managed 2 shots and created 2 chances, 58 touches, 33 of 40 of accurate passes, 3 in the final third, 6 recoveries, 5 of 9 ground duels. And then, of course, he gets back to the comfort of the Bundesliga, where, again, he just has these string of consistent performances. And it's kind of interesting, the discrepancy between both of those ones, because obviously in the Champions League, you're making that step up. And, of course, you're playing a very, very, very good Premier League side. And it almost seemed like these are kind of the litmus tests for Malik Tillman, just to kind of assess where he's at. Obviously, far more comfortable in the Bundesliga, and equally so because his performance was awesome. I actually had both of these rated out at 7, and I thought he was actually good. You would like to see a little bit more when it comes to some of these Champions League appearances, especially with a team like Newcastle. You're not playing Arsenal, you're not playing Liverpool, you're not playing the Premier League's best, but you're getting a very good Premier League side, and you would like to see maybe a little bit more from him. But that being said, both very good performances. Let's talk about Wes, because he had a couple matches this week, and we start off with a 2-0 win over Paphos FC in Europe, where he played a full 90, and he scored a goal on 2 shots. 3 chances created, 46 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 30 of 32 of accurate passes, 5 into the final third, 6 recoveries, and he was the man of the match in that performance as well, too. Just an overall dynamite performance. And when you see that goal, it was just an absolute strike. It was absolutely a thing of beauty. And then over the weekend, Juventus had a 2-1 win over Bologna, where he played a full 90. Managed 2 shots on net, 56 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 25 of 32 of accurate passes, 9 go into the final third, 3 of 4 of aerial duels, 8 recoveries, and that was good for a 7.5 rating. Overall, I actually had both of these matches at an 8. I thought Wes was absolutely brilliant in both matches, and it is ever since Juventus has changed managers. And now all of a sudden, West gets put into the starting 11. Now he's just a fixture in the Juventus starting 11. His game has certainly risen. And now we're starting to see the benefits of that extended time as well, too. And, again, congratulations to Wes. And just like a lot of his other U.S. men's national team counterparts, man, he is peaking at the right time. And I would probably assume this form is going to hold out. And hopefully he manages to stay healthy. So that's awesome. Last one here in the forwards, it's going to be Alex Zendejas. Club America beat Monterrey 2-1. Zendejas, by the way, played the full 90. He scored a goal on one shot, 2 chances created, 67 touches, 24 of 33 of accurate passes, 3 into the final third, 7 defensive contributions, 7 recoveries, 6 tackles, and the overall performance was good for an 8.5. And Zendejas is absolutely awesome. And of course, he's doing it for the best team in Mexico. But that being said, like when you track this kid, and when he's actually healthy and playing, he is actually one of the more consistent producers out there in the pool outside of the United States. He's just awesome, man. He's just there's no way to put it. And the thing about this is like, where does this rate when it comes to some of these other forwards? And by the way, Gio Reyna didn't necessarily have that great of a weekend himself. Same thing with Brendan Aronson. I think Brendan only had like 5 minutes coming off the bench for Leeds United. Not necessarily anything to report. But that being said, it's like, if Zendejas continues to have these type of performances, and then you have McKinney doing his thing and Tillman doing his thing and Pulisic doing his thing, and now you're kind of having to determine which is going to be better for you in these forward positions. Is it going to be Gio? Is it going to be Zendejas? Is it going to be Aronson? It's like now all of a sudden you're kind of looking at the numbers when it comes to the final roster, trying to figure out exactly who is going to be able to actually deliver the goods when it matters. And I don't know, man. Zendejas is making a case for himself. And at the end of the day, these are what I like to call good problems to have. By the way, I want to welcome my guy Ace. Ace, I hope you're doing well, man, and I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you're having an even better start to your week. And you don't need to apologize, man. You're here, bud. Don't even worry about it. All right, we got to talk about Tyler Adams because he came off the pitch after 5 minutes against Manchester City. And Manchester United. Let me get that straight. So apparently the report is that he suffered some medial collateral ligament damage, essentially limping off after 5 minutes-ish in the 4-4 draw to the United. And so apparently how this happened was there was a couple minutes in, apparently he was injured while challenging Mateus Cunha. And of course he immediately came off. Now, I don't think there is a tear. That is what's being reported, that it's not a tear, that it's kind of like a twisted knee. He's going to have an MRI, obviously. But apparently what it is the doctors at Bournemouth think that the knee is twisted and that it's either a small sprain or a bigger strain. So obviously he's going to be out for some time as that knee rehabs. But initial reports now are saying that it is not a MCL tear, which means that he is going to be available for March if he's healthy at that point. And I would probably think by the time March rolls around, he will be back and playing. But this is actually kind of a huge loss, not only for the U.S. men's national team, but for Bournemouth as well, because he was essentially playing as one of the best defensive mids in the Premier League. So hopefully it's a speedy recovery. I completely agree with you, Ace. Tanner Tessman and both Aiden Morris did not play. Both have not played for a couple weeks. And James Sands himself didn't necessarily have the greatest performance for St. Pauli, so he's not featured this week. So let's go ahead and move to the wings. And we begin with Serginho Dest. And by the way, Serginho did feature in the match against Atletico Madrid, but wasn't exactly the greatest performance. So we will start with the 4-3 win over Heracles Almo where Des played the full 90, had an assist on one shot, had one chance created, 85 touches, 5 in the opposition box, 50 of 55 of accurate passes. 9 of those went into the final third. He also had 8 recoveries on the defensive side, which was an unbelievable performance. And then in the 3-0 victory over GVVV, he played 45 with 61 touches, 41 of 45 of accurate passes, 5 into the final third, 2 of 3 of ground duels. And both of those I rated out at 7.5. And again, we're talking about the consistency and the fact that he's absolutely in form and he's peaking. But I guess the question that I have for you guys is, it's one thing to do it against the lower half of the Eredivisie, where we know that he's going to have these. But, when you look at these and then you look at his performance against a team like Atletico Madrid, and by the way, they lost that 3-2, one has to wonder whether or not, yes, he's at the right level for him, but whether or not that higher level may or may not be too big for him. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I don't think that he shouldn't start in the World Cup, because I certainly do. I think he's our best on the right side. But that being said, it's like you also have Tim Weah that can play that position, who normally plays that position for Marseille. And, of course, there's Alex Freeman as well, too, right? So the question is, it's like, is there a discrepancy? Is there a discrepancy with some of these performances where you can actually kind of point at and say, like, yeah, okay, great, he's great in the Eredivisie, but don't get me wrong, I appreciate the consistency of Sergiño Dest, but I'm starting to wonder. Yeah, I would agree. Speaking of Timmy Weah, Ace, we go to Weah here. Although he was playing on the left side of the attacking three in this one, in a 1-0 victory over Monaco. He played the full 90, managed 2 shots, 3 chances created, 59 touches, 5 in the opposition box, 34 of 41 of accurate passes, 4 into the final third. He also had 2 interceptions defensively, 5 recoveries, and that was good enough for a 7.5 rating. And that's the thing. It's like Timmy is also very consistent week in and week out, and he's doing it in a little bit of a better league across the board. Now, that being said, we had seen him against PSG, and he didn't necessarily look all that great. But when it comes to European play, he also has actually looked very good at times in European play. And so, I don't know, man. That's going to be a difficult one at that right back position. It's like, is it Dest or is it Weah? Who gives you the better consistency, but also who do you feel is more trustworthy starting in a World Cup? That's all I gotta say. Let's talk about John Tolkin because his Holstein Kiel drew 3-3 with Magdeburg in the second Bundesliga. He played a full 90, had 1 chance created, 50 touches, 21 of 26 of accurate passes, 4 into the final third. He had 4 corners, 4 tackles, 5 recoveries, 5 of 5 of ground duels, and now he's back to doing John Tolkin things at a pretty good level. Now, of course, the last couple of weeks for Tolkin haven't exactly been great. But that being said, it's nice to see that he's able to rebound. And again, I don't know anything about the opponent, but what I will say is that it's good to see John Tolkin back in the on the positive side of things. Lastly, we go to Brian Reynolds, whose Westerlo side drew 1-1 against Genk. And Genk is one of my favorites in the Belgian Pro League. But he played 90, 49 touches, 2 in the opposition box, 23 of 32 of accurate passes, 6 into the final third. He 3 of 4 of successful dribbles, 4 recoveries, 5 of 6 of ground duels, and that was good for a 7 rating as well, too. And now this is the second week that Brian Reynolds has featured in the weekly rundown, and it's nice. It's nice to see it, and hopefully there's a third straight week, because the consistency has been there at times. And again, he's in a perfect situation, because Westerlo is the perfect team to put yourself in the shop window, because believe it or not, there's a lot of scouts in the Belgian Pro League. and they're looking for good deals. And one of the things that he has to show is that consistency. So let's see. Weah is far better defender than Dest. Okay, but the question is the defensive side of the ball as important as one's ability to get forward and be a contributor in the attack? Which one is a little bit more important for Pochettino? By the way, both are very important for Pochettino, but I guess the question is, is this going to be a situation where they're going to be interchanged depending on the opponent? That's the kind of way I feel about that. All right, let's talk to some center backs, and we'll talk about Chris Richards because he had 2 appearances this week. The first one was in the Conference League in a 3-0 victory over Shelbourne, where he had a full 90. He had 3 shots on net, 1 chance created, 94 touches, 4 in the opposition box, 68 of 74 of accurate passes, 5 into the final third, 2 of 2 of accurate crosses, 4 of 5 of accurate long balls, 4 of 6 of ground duels, 6 of 6 of aerial duels, and that right there is probably one of the better performances as a center back, a true 8.5 rating. And then we get to the weekend where they lost 3-0 to Manchester City, where he played the full 90, 81 touches, 45 of 56 of accurate passes, 4 into the final third, 3 clearances, 3 interceptions. And that was probably about as good as the 7 rating. And so you kind of have to wait this one out for Chris Richards, because you have arguably one of the better performances of career against Shelbourne, which, by the way, is an Irish side. And so you kind of have to weigh that one in. But then when you get back to the Premier League, they go into a buzzsaw, which is Manchester City, and they absolutely get smoked. So at that point, I would probably have to rate this somewhere in the 7 to 7.5 rating overall. But again, Chris Richards, at least he's showing you consistency. The numbers are eerily accurate week after week after week, and I would probably assume that he is, as of right now, our best center back in the pool. Mark McKenzie, whose Toulouse size beat Paris FC 3-0. He played a full 90, had 60 touches. Take that off the screen. Had 60 touches, 39 of 42 of accurate passes, 3 tackles, 3 clearances, 3 of 4 of ground duels, and that was good for a 7 rating. And lastly, Nokai Banks, as his Augsburg lost 1-0 to Eintracht Frankfurt, but he had a really good game, though. Played a full 90 with 64 touches, 42 of 47 of accurate passes, 5 into the final third, 3 of 5 of accurate long balls, 11 defensive contributions, 5 tackles, 6 clearances, 6 of 10 of ground duels, 2 of 5 of aerial duels, 3 beers, and a partridge in a pear tree. That was good enough for a 7 rating right there. And of course, our European keepers right now, not exactly the greatest weekend. Of course, Sheffield United got blown off the pitch. And Jonathan Klinsmann didn't exactly have the greatest game this afternoon either. So not a lot to write home from the goalkeeper side of things. But what I will say is that the strikers are continuing to do what the strikers are being paid to do, which is score goals. And from that standpoint, that's what I absolutely love, because there was a space there between the 2 weeks before the October window all the way to the start of the November window where there was no action at all. And a lot of them, Ballo just wasn't consistent. Pepi was kind of hurt. Agyemang was just coming back. Jar Sargent was on the illest of illest goalless. He was on one of the illest goalless droughts that I've ever seen from him. And Damian Downs just fell off the face of the earth. And so there was a lot of kind of up in the air. And then, of course, Balogun comes into the September camp and reinserts himself. And it looks like Pepi is now back finally. So all of that's good. But, it is what it is. I think our forwards played pretty well, pretty good too. I understand Christian just didn't have a Christian performances, but whatever, man. That is going to happen in a league like Serie A. He's not going to be, scoring braces every single goddamn week. So it is what it is. The interesting thing about Christian, though, is that his contract comes up in 6 months. And it's something that I think I'm going to save for a different show, but I will say this, though. I don't know if they're going to qualify for the Champions League. And I think that is where Christian draws the line. He wants to play in the biggest, in the biggest tournament in the world when it comes to club. And of course, that's the Champions League. And now there's reports that Manchester United might come in for him. Although I don't think that's where he should end up at all. The last thing you want is the chaos of Manchester United. But what I will say is that I do think that he should be in the Premier League. But that being said, as of right now, he's in the best position that he can be right now, playing in Serie A. I think it is the right league for him, and I think he's playing on the right team. But the question is whether or not that is going to be a sticking point for him, whether or not that they're going to be playing in the Champions League, because he said it that this year not being a part of European play as something that's kind of pissed him off. And it is what it is, right? So if they fail again, there could be a situation where Pulisic ends up walking on a free. And I would probably assume there's going to be at least 8 different big clubs from around the world, especially in Europe, that are going to be jockeying for his signature. So he's probably going to be wanting to prove himself, continue to prove himself. And when you look at where he's at in his career, not only is he in form, but he's also at the peak of his powers right now. And that dude is absolutely flying high. And so would it surprise me if he ended up potentially going back to Germany for a big club? Potentially a club like Bayern Munich? Wouldn't surprise me. Would it surprise you if he ended up back in the Premier League, but he ends up like at Liverpool or something? Wouldn't surprise me. Although I would love to see him at Tottenham. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is what it is. But maybe we'll do that show. Maybe we'll do that show after Christmas. We'll see. Let's see. What I want is someone that can put up the same impact of pace and defensive work as Robinson. And I feel like Weah can pretty much match him pacey, and Dest is shifty, but isn't quick enough. Yeah, I can. Here's the thing, Ace. I think I might be able to vouch for this one, because when it comes to work rate, Tim Weah's got the work rate. I think both of them have the work rate. But what I like about Dest is he always has the ability to create space, and his ball into the box is actually really good. I like his service into the box from the wing. Now, where I will agree with you is when you're talking about being a better defender, I actually happen to agree with you on that. I do think he's the better defender, but I guess I guess really what it comes down for me is, what does Pochettino prioritize first and foremost, right? Is it that consistency when it comes to the attack? Or does he want somebody that has the ability, to be able to track back and play defense, right? So can he do both? Does he have the intangibles that are at least going to be able to keep his head above water on the defensive side without having that right-sided center back having to shift over and cover his back shoulder? Can he handle the position? And when I look at the World Cup group, depending on who sneaks into the group from that UEFA Pool C playoff, like if it's Turkey, yeah, I'm probably starting Timmy Weah against Paraguay and Turkey, but against Australia, I don't think it necessarily matters, man. From that standpoint, so I can see a situation where both Weah and Dest actually get run at that right back position in the World Cup. Makes sense. I don't know, but that being said, it's like when I think of Timmy Weah, like prior when we were playing that 4-3-3 under Berhalter, and when like Weah was at his best is when the ball is actually played onto him, where he's able to run and use his speed, beat a defender, and then use his ability in the box 1v1. He was actually really good. And then I just continue like the first couple windows under Pochettino, like nobody played well. But that being said, it's like it almost feels like Weah is the type of guy that needs to be played direct for him to actually be effective. in a system where there's build-up play, where maybe it's not as direct. Like I feel like Dest in that situation might be a little bit better because he is shifty. He can create space and he can beat his man, and he can also deliver him to the box, right? So I don't think they're the same player. I definitely think they're two different skill sets. I guess the question I have to ask you is which one is actually going to be a little bit more suitable for Pochettino. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so again, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons because, again, later this week, I am doing a retro live stream, a U.S. men's national team retro live stream, and I think I'm going to be doing U.S. versus Mexico from World Cup qualifying 2001. So you're talking Landon Donovan, you're talking Brian McBride, Ernie Stewart. Like we're talking the classics, man. So I'm probably gonna be doing. I'm gonna start this one with World Cup qualifying 2001, U.S. versus Mexico. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss out on that. I'm also doing a show a little bit later this week as we talk a little bit about Major League Soccer. We're going over some top teams in both the West and the East, talking about who they lost, what they need to replace, how they're going to need to retool, so especially if you're an Inter Miami fan, Ace, if you're an Inter Miami fan, we'll be talking a little bit about Inter Miami. And obviously they lost they lost Alba, they lost Busquets, and they lost Luis Suarez. So how are they going to rebuild, and how are they going to keep their momentum now that Messi lost, essentially 3 of his biggest pieces? So we're going to be talking a little bit about that later this week. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Let's see. Because we are going to face teams that we are not going to have much possession of the ball in the group stage. I would probably concede that, if we get past the group stage, 100% that's probably going to be the case. In the group stage, I would probably contest that we'll probably have possession against Paraguay and Australia. And depending on who that third team coming out, even if it's Turkey, I still think we're going to potentially hold 40 to 50% of the possession against them. We're not exactly a bunker team. But that being said, like I would agree with you. Like once we get past the round of 16, and then now we're playing some very some very legit competition, whether it's South American or Europe. Yeah, there's a good chance that, we probably won't be holding a lot of possession. I'll concede that. All right, that's going to do it for me. And I will see you guys a little bit later this week. And again, U.S. men's national team retro live stream. And of course, we have the MLS show as we go over the top teams from both the East and West. So that is going to be fun. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. And I know it's only Tuesday, man. We still got 3 more days left, but I'll tell you what, man, it goes by quick. And of course, if you're a fan of the Premier League, obviously it goes even quicker as you count down the days to the weekend. So it is what it is. It sucks being, for me, obviously, an American soccer fan where, you kind of get used to the MLS schedule, but in a couple of years, it's going to be moving to the FIFA calendar. So, obviously, we're going to have a lot more to talk about in a couple more years, a lot more live streams this time of year. Until then, obviously, there's still a lot to talk about. So there's still a lot of content. So you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, guys.
Rusted goalposts under fading skies.